the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, in exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society.
And now, in Disney.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in here tonight. We have a special report. And of course, being one of Jehovah's Witnesses and most of the people calling in on the lines, as well as listening in on YouTube and Facebook, we were one time, most of us Jehovah's Witnesses, but very sad news. In fact, a tragedy coming out of Germany just about 3 hours ago. From what we understand, there's been a shooting at a Kingdom Hall in Germany. And from what we're understanding, different reports are coming through, of course, because it's now breaking. But some reports are saying 7 people were killed in a Kingdom Hall in Jehovah's Witnesses in Hamburg, Germany. And also 25 to 30 have been injured, some of them very, very seriously. Police believe the perpetrator may have died in the attack. So this is just a breaking story right now as we're talking, but I wanted to get in because there was so many people writing me and saying, Rick, what's going on? In fact, I got a message from a fellow in London that wrote it to me about an hour ago. And I couldn't believe it at first. I wanted to make sure it wasn't some type of a rumor. But friends, it's not a rumor. This is a fact. A number of Jehovah's Witnesses, evidently, from what I'm reading here, have been killed in Hamburg, Germany. Now, police are saying that they believe the perpetrator is dead. They did find a man that was at the end of the hallway. According to what I'm reading here, they found him dead. Now, I just want to, we, as Jehovah's Witnesses, sometimes what we do is we kind of jump to conclusions and, we say, well, it had to be a disgruntled witness. I mean, that certainly does come up in our mind. But I also want you to bear in mind that there's been a number of terrorist attacks in Europe and targeting Christian churches. So this could have been a terrorist attack. That more than likely is the most plausible scenario. But the possibility of a disgruntled person linked with the congregation is also something that we shouldn't discard. As of late, if you guys have been listening into the Six Screens, you do know that we've been reporting on a number of incidents where firearms have been used, witnesses have been shot and killed, all kinds of confrontations in the parking lot. And in the last 6 months, we reported a number of these cases. Just recently, of course, we know about the murder out in Colorado, where a witness shot his wife. And he was evidently a disgruntled witness. That happened in Colorado a couple of months ago. And then just a couple of weeks ago, reported on a man that was out in service, a Jehovah's Witness man in service in Illinois, Rockford, Illinois. And he was shot while waiting for fellow witnesses to come back from visiting houses. And also in Argentina just last week, 2 Jehovah's Witnesses were stabbed severely in Argentina. So it's an ongoing situation here. And I wanted to get on and get your thoughts on it. People have been saying, Rick, what's going on? Do you have any thoughts on what do I think? Well, I'm thinking, first of all, the first thing comes to my mind is terrorists. Because of what has been happening in Europe, they've been targeting Christian churches. So the terrorists more than likely could have targeted the Kingdom Hall. But, not all of us. I mean, I got online, I'm looking feverishly through all the notes and all the different postings that are up online. And I'm finding that, many witnesses are linking this to a disgruntled person, but it'd be a little premature, I suppose, to jump in that direction. But we just don't know. But I want you to know that it's something of concern, and our hearts and prayers go out for the people that have been involved in this. If you have witnesses that have died, that's a terrible thing. You don't like to hear any of this, but it's terrible outrage. And, we're hearing so much of people in church being shot up, people in schools being shot up, people at work being shot. This is really out of control. The Western world has really seen their share of it. And I'll tell you what, it's very frightening, the world that we're living in now. You're afraid to even go to the mall, you could be shot. But we have innocent Jehovah's Witnesses, at least 6 or 7. They're saying 7, but it could even be higher because there's a bunch of really injured people that are really, really in rough shape, according to the information. I've gone through about 6 or 7 news reports, but I'm going to open up the lines right now. I believe we do have Roland coming in from Europe, from the United Kingdom. Roland, are you on there with us?
I am, Rick. Yeah. I've been listening to what you've been saying about the terrorist thing, but in my English paper, The Guardian, it's saying in February 2020 that a far-right extremist shot dead 10 people and wounded 5 others in the central city of Hanau, or something like that. Anyway, in 2019, 2 people were killed after neo-Nazis tried to storm a synagogue. It seems to be more right-wing extremists out there that are doing the killing, and I just find it odd that they would target a Kingdom Hall. I can not understand. It's terribly wrong, but what they do. But you expect the far right to go after Jewish people and Muslims and stuff like that. You don't expect them really to go after other groups class themselves as a Christian, or not. So I just wonder if it was a disgruntled witness, because it just seems the fact that they shot themselves as well. I just don't know as a terrorist would shoot themselves. They tend to try and get away, don't they? So I don't know, Rick, but I'm only surmising. So
yeah, that's what got my attention too. Is the police report says they found the shooter in a hallway dead. Now, generally, terrorists would flee the building and run away, and they'd have a hard time even finding out whoever did it. But in this case, they found the person who did the shooting, at least what these reports are saying. They found him dead in a hallway. So that's something of interest. My goodness. But I'll tell you what, when you have a high control group like the Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm going to tell you something, and you guys all know it too. When you have a dangerous cult, as the Jehovah's Witnesses are, and I'm not trying to jump to conclusions here or over embellish this, but when you have a dangerous cult, there is always a bad ending to it. It seems like it's coming to an end here. I mean, this is really something else here, like I've been reporting for the last 6 months of Jehovah's Witnesses dying and being shot. And now we have a Kingdom Hall with 7 people killed, from what we understand. Hey, let's bring someone else in. Who wants to come in and say hello to us? You're on with us. Hit *6 and you're with us. What do you want to say? Yes, go ahead.
Rick, I like to speculate, and it is a speculation. My guess is that a person who committed some kind of sin got disfellowshipped by 3 elders, and they won't let him back in until he serves like 2 or 3 years, like Larry John Wayne, and he just couldn't take the pressure any longer, and he went in there and shot up everybody. That's my guess. Don't know, but that's my guess. Thank you.
All right, Dick. No, just interested to see what some of the ex-witnesses out there are thinking. I'm just going to see. Now, hold on one second here. I'm just going to try to see if I can clean this phone line up a little bit. Hold on one second. You're going to hear a little bit of a noise here.
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Okay, good. That'll clear the lines up a little bit. But if anyone would like to say something, what do you guys feel? Go ahead. Hit *6. You're on with us. Go ahead. Is that you, Gilbert? Hi. We're going to go with Gilbert first. Go ahead, Gilbert.
Hey, Rick. This is Gilbert Hanson. I don't know the details, but I just want to get this point across. That shunning is an act of violence. So the Jehovah's Witnesses throughout the whole world, wherever they are at, they practice shunning. And that is the first shot across the bow. So I'm not saying that this is a result, but you cannot have an organization that shuns people and not expect that somehow in the future the chickens don't come home to roost. So I'm very grateful that this has not happened on a large scale, considering the fact that Watchtower has caused so many suicides and so much depression and drug use due to shunning. And that's all I wanted to get across, is that shunning is an act of violence. And we should not be surprised when we see these, and we're not happy by any stretch of the imagination. We don't want to wish any harm upon our Jehovah's Witness brothers and sisters, but we are not going to stick our head in the sand and pretend that shunning does not have consequences.
Well, you're absolutely right, Gilbert. I do have to say that certainly comes into mind because, you know, the thing is, the witnesses as of late have got this bad press. And I'm not saying that someone from the outside world would come in and do this. They possibly could. It could be a terrorist, as we say. But the thing is, there's so many difficulties that religion has experiences as of late, with all the people being molested and hidden, and they're ticking a lot of people off. So, you know, I'm not going to rule it out that this was a disgruntled witness. Thank you, Gilbert. Thank you very much.
But what could
Yeah.
I will tell you from that thing. In Somerton, Arizona, there was a young man that committed suicide. And his family members, now you got to understand, these are not outside Jehovah's Witnesses. My uncles and cousins, and they were drug dealers. And they told my brother-in-law to watch it.
We're having some trouble with your phone breaking up on us, Gilbert. Your phone is breaking up on us, darn it. Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to tell you is that this happened in our hometown in Yuma, where people that are they're not Jehovah's Witnesses, but they were involved in drug activity. And my brother Jesse knows more of the details on this. But they put a warning to the Jehovah's Witness elders, like, don't you be disfellowshipping any more of our family members, because they saw one of their cousins die of suicide. So they put the fear of God in those elders. And all I'm saying is that shunning is the first blow. Watchtower is proactive in violence via shunning. That's all I was trying to get across.
Well, listen, that's always good to hear from you. And then thank you for weighing in and giving your thoughts. Thank you, Gilbert. Okay, who else we have? Yeah, Dick, I think we got someone else who wants to speak up first, so we'll give him a shot first. Go ahead. I believe we have Michigan. You want to come in, Michigan?
Yeah, just a second. Well, I was going to say, Rick, I think they said already the person that the police didn't shoot him, so evidently the shooter just shot himself. So maybe it was just a terrorist. When I heard it on the news, I said, man, I know the six screeners. Oh, they're going to be excited. I just knew it.
Well, it's not that we're trying to get off on this. And some people say, well, geez, Rick, you're making, but this is the ex-witness world, Mike. And I'm a former Jehovah's Witness. And I was attached to that organization for 50 years. So something of this nature, it draws your attention. And we do have so many people coming in, listening on the various platforms. And it's not that we're, looking for blood here. But it's just, we know how dangerous that organization is. And many of us still have relatives in there. And end times for cults are bad. And boy, I'll tell you, something's going on.
We don't know yet what happened. It could have been a terrorist. I mean, in Germany, I don't know the law. I'm assuming it's a little more difficult to get a gun there. Some countries it's pretty hard to get a gun. So maybe this guy was a Muslim terrorist or something like that. And, you don't know what happened yet. I mean, just because somebody gets shunned or disfellowshipped, I mean, if you're going to go shoot up 30 people over it, then you're just a nut job. Whether you're a witness, I mean, unfortunately, that kind of stuff's, well, it's more common in this country. I don't know about in Europe. Like I say, it's hard to get a gun there, but, whoever did this is just obviously nuts.
Well, obviously, and it's a tragedy. I mean, we know nobody on here is certainly laughing about it or making fun of it, and you know that as well. But it's just that it does strike our attention. And, I have relatives, plenty of relatives still in that organization. And don't think I don't think about the dangers of being one of Jehovah's Witnesses these days. They're out in service, knocking on doors. They're all over the news as far as how evil they are, hiding child molesters. It's just an organization that's got this tarnished image. And you have a lot of people out there that do not like the pedophiles. They've been hurt by them. You don't know what is going on in that organization. And boy, as every day goes by, it seems like something more dangerous is happening. Oh, well, thank you, Mike.
Maybe they're working for Tony Morris. This is Tony's revenge.
Well, we'll see what happens on that one. But anyways, you're on with us. Who wants to speak up? *6, and you're on with us. Go ahead.
Just a quick thought.
Sure.
I thought that Gilbert was right on target. I thought he really had it right. They do incite violence with this fellowshipping and shunning and so forth. And we're not because we are people that are going after Six Screens and exposing the lies and the cruelty of that organization. But nobody on Six Screens is excited about the news that you just brought forward about 7 people being murdered and so many more being hurt. We're just very appreciative to you, Rick, for bringing this stuff out to all of us so we can be armed and warned on how dangerous they are. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Dick. No, I've got some people that wanted me to come on and talk about this. So I figured I'd come on and do a little special report here. But, the thing that got me thinking a lot is the Jehovah's Witness organization, the Watchtower, the governing body. They have been really trying to get people off of Zoom, that platform where you can just get on video without having to attend the Kingdom Hall. And they've been working hard to, come on, people, get off Zoom, come back in person. This is not going to in any way help the governing body getting people back to a Kingdom Hall. I know even myself, even though we're here in Massachusetts, here in America, there's going to be people afraid to go to a meeting because of what they heard. I'm not exaggerating one bit. The witnesses at this point in their life, they're paranoid. There's still witnesses that are still wearing masks, and they're upset and still believing that COVID is going to come out of the wall and attack them any second. I mean, the Watchtower's got people on edge right now. Who's on with us? Go ahead, say hello to us.
Hi, this is Apostle Babe Linda James.
Yes, Linda.
And when I just now heard your announcement that something had happened, I went quickly to the news and listened to something from Germany. And I sent you a link for that, and they talked a little bit about it. But this is so tragic. This is truly tragic. And it's not something that I'm excited over. And, when we are bothered by Jehovah's Witnesses, we're really talking about the leadership that sets things up in such a way that we can almost assume, like Gilbert said, that shunning could somehow be a part of this, that this could somehow upset somebody this much. It's not a far-fetched assumption to think this way. This is not exciting by any means. This is tragic.
Absolutely. And Linda, just a month ago, I mean, you talked about it, we talked about it here on JW World News, of the incident out in Colorado, where a man that was disfellowshipped, and he took his wife to the Kingdom Hall, kind of, I'll take you to Kingdom Hall, honey. And when they got there, he really had a message for them. He killed his wife. He killed his wife in the parking lot. And he was so disgruntled from being disfellowshipped. So, we're not speaking out of place here. We're seeing that there's been a lot of incidents. I mean, lately, we've been reporting on it, and it's something to be concerned about.
Yes, I've been reading articles about the mental condition of Jehovah's Witnesses and how much more Jehovah's Witnesses are more troubled mentally because of being part of the religion. Matter of fact, I just read something that some Jehovah's Witnesses sued and got paid for like 3 years from the Watchtower because they were, I don't have all the details, I'll bring it up this Saturday, but this affects people. And that was what this story that I'm telling you about, that the courts actually found it even though the courts actually saw, I'm laughing because I'm making mistakes here. I don't have it all together. But the courts actually found that this material that the Jehovah's Witnesses were reading on a regular basis affected them mentally. And when you think about it, we have constant reminders of what Armageddon is going to look like. And when a group of people are considered taking part of helping bring Armageddon about, or helping to bring the end of this system, which Matthew 24:14 is this good news of the kingdom will be preached in all the inhabited earth, and then the end will come. So we're taking, as a Jehovah's Witness, there's this sense of taking part in what Jehovah's cause is. So they're taking part in helping to bring this to an end, and then bring the new order to come after. When you're involved in a group like that, because you're looking forward to bringing it to the end, that's what categorizes a cult to be a doomsday cult. When you're hoping to bring about Armageddon, or when a group manipulates something to start Armageddon, Jehovah's Witnesses are faithful followers and being caring and loving and serving Jehovah by going door to door. They're not manipulating anything, but they're taking part in something that would bring about Armageddon. So there's always Armageddon on the mind, is what I'm saying. It's not healthy. It's a very toxic mindset. And my heart just goes out to the families of these poor souls that had some gatherings, and now they're dead. Like 6 of them are dead, including the shooter. How tragic.
Yes.
I can't even imagine what the shooter was thinking.
Well, no, it's terrible, Linda. And you know what it does is it gets me thinking. A lot of us listening into the program tonight, we have relatives who are in that diabolical cult. And the way things are lately, they're unhinged. They are something's gone wrong. We have a governing body member get up and leave. We got Pennsylvania looking into 500 congregations where they want to make sure there wasn't child abuse being covered up. And there's just too many things. A number of countries, Belgium, Sweden, United Kingdom, Norway, a number of countries are investigating the witnesses as well as we speak. So, man, there are monumental issues. And, it's like cornering a rat. You get a rat cornered, and you got to watch that rat. He's going to come after you. Seriously, he doesn't know what to do. That's what I think the Watchtower is right now. They're like a rat in the corner. They've been cornered. They know their day is done. And, when cults realize that, now I know people are saying, well, Rick, this is the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're different than the Branch Davidians. They're different than Jim Jones. Not well, they are. I mean, I don't expect, suicide in the masses. But, when you have an organization that is made billions of dollars and the whole empire now is coming down, people get desperate. They'll do anything. And so, I feel for my relatives as well as people listening into this program, our relatives who are involved in there. When you try to reach them and tell them that they're not going to listen to us. But boy, I just hope that they are putting the dots, picking the crumbs up on the trail and putting the dots together, that this organization isn't worth being in anymore. It never was worth it, but lately it's too much. Too much.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Apostle B. Always good to hear from Linda. Anyone else want to speak up? We got a number of people on the phone line. And like I was saying, yes, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Rick. It's Constance. I was going to say, all of us are very moved by this very, very sad news. And it's such a small world. I mean, Annie has family, and I'm sure that are still in Hamburg, Germany. And I sent her I am Rick, and hopefully she's listening in. But I was just going to say that, with the organization, many of us have really, really suffered because this organization is very cruel. It's cruel. It's extremely cruel. And Watchtower expects each and every one of us to just shut up and keep up whether you disassociate yourself or you disfellowship yourself. The organization teaches, oh, this is what happens to be so-called true Christians, that, we got to keep the congregation clean, which is a bunch of nonsense because they allow the pedophiles to run rampant. But the point I wanted to make, Rick, is it sounds to me, and I am just speculating here too as well, but it sounds to me like somebody was disfellowshipped, and anyway, and they just basically blew a gasket. I mean, everybody gets to a point where you're at a breaking point. I know I sure was when I literally knew mentally enough was enough. I couldn't handle being in the organization anymore. Nobody has to tell you. You know it. You know it in your own mind with what your thoughts are and how you're feeling. And I think this person thought, okay, I've just lost my self-respect. I've just lost my family. I've just lost maybe perhaps their job. Now there's a divorce. Now my kids are going to disfellowship me. My whole family's destroyed. And Rick, when somebody gets to that point in their life, and I figured it was a male, because most men, if they're going to really commit suicide, most of them, they don't mess around. They take a gun and they do execute themselves. Women are not like that. But I figured it was an XJW. And anyway, he probably thought, I'm done. I'm going to go ballistic because I've lost everything in my life that there is to lose that was really important to me. And when I'm all done, blowing out whoever in the Kingdom Hall, I'm going to take myself out. So it's very, very sad, Rick. And we know it doesn't take much for this organization to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing people. I mean, look at Rich. He hasn't had his family, his boys, for 32 years. Okay, that's a long time. They were little boys and now they're grown men. That's a long time. You tell somebody who's never been in the organization, they look at you like, what in the world? Are you serious? So I think, Rick, that, with the world going on with, the inflation, people are struggling to try to make a living, the high cost of gasoline, just the whole turmoil of what's going on in the world today. That in itself can put people over the edge. But then you add Watchtower and them tightening the screws tighter and tighter, people just definitely reach a boiling point where my expression is they blow a gasket. And it's very, very sad. There's, a lot of good people that are in the organization, but boy, Rick, I sure hope it wakes people up. This is like a disgruntled employee that's really pissed off with either a coworker or a boss. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to get you good. And I don't care because I've lost everything. And I'll just take myself out because that's where I am. And that's what it sounds like. And it's, you see this in the schools. You see this in in California, it's common, but it's all over the place, Rick. And my heart goes out to these people. I wouldn't be surprised, honey, if, eventually someone says, oh, guess what? It was somebody that I knew or friends or family, whatever, in a congregation that, I used to attend or whatever. So maybe Annie Schultz will jump on here and have some input. But thank you, Rick. I just wanted to say thank you for coming on live tonight.
Well, really appreciate you coming on live tonight too, Constance. And, you mentioned something here that got me thinking, when you lose everything, and I've talked to your husband, Rich, numerous times, a good friend of mine, as you well know. But, that poor man, like you say, had 2 children, haven't talked to him for years. And he was disfellowshipped, and his former wife, who was a Jehovah's Witness, she would go to the meetings, and he was trying to get reinstated. And he'd go to the meetings for, I believe he went for a good part of a couple of years, trying to be reinstated. And he would sit in the back row, and his wife and 2 children would sit down front. Now, you want to talk about being humiliated. This is my family, Watchtower. This is my wife. These are my 2 boys. Family is the most important thing we have, Constance. And
Right,
what's more important? I mean, that is, but see, the Watchtower realizes that, and they know if they can play with that and get your family not to speak with you, that's a powerful tool. But when a person really loses everything, and I know even Rich, your friend, as well as my friend, he went through a lot. He lost everything at one point. What runs through a person's mind like that? Now, Dick wasn't going to go out and, hurt anybody, I'm sure. But I mean, there are people that somehow their psyche works in the opposite direction. They don't care. They could care less about anything. And as you say, take a whole congregation out if they had to. So it's sad, but it's got me thinking. I mean, it really has. It's got me thinking about my family that's still in the Watchtower. Well, good comment, Constance. Thank you very much. Always good to hear from Constance. Thank you.
Well, thank you, honey. But I just wanted to add on that, honey, if I could. I don't want to.
Sure. No. You go ahead. You take more time. Yes.
Well, I just wanted to say, you can feel the injustice. I mean, nobody's perfect. Okay, we're all imperfect. Everybody makes a mistake. Okay, but the thing about this organization is it's so evil. Okay, I'm not saying all the elders in there are evil, but we know there are plenty of them that are, and they're on this power trip. They're going to push their weight around because they're an elder and they're going to lord it over. Well, the scriptures talk about being very loving shepherds. And, like Bob Gray said, he taught me something very interesting. I met him in person a couple of years ago, and he said, I want to just tell you something. And he said, most JWs think when they go into a judicial committee meeting, they think, well, the brothers, I can sit down, talk to the elders, are going to be loving and kind and tender. They're shepherds of the flock. And, I'll be able to get through whatever their erring way was, whatever their sin was. And Bob Gray said, no, that's not how it works. The average rank and file does not know. And I said, well, what are you saying? He said, the elders have already, because he had been an elder and been in the organization for many years. He said, the elders already have made up their mind before you walk in through that door that you're going to be disfellowshipped. And I said, are you serious? He said, I'm very serious about that. So the point I'd like to make, Rick, is that, when you start being judge, jury, and executioner, that's very evil. There's no love. And we know that God is all about love. And so there was this gal, Allie, Joe Dario introduced us to this gal, Allie. I don't know who she is. She was a YouTuber about 3 years ago. And her judicial committee meeting was recorded. And I think Allie the Big Toe was her name. Oh my gosh, if you get a chance to listen to it, it'll blow your socks away. Man, she nailed those elders. She knew her scriptures and she was courageous. And she called them out. And they basically disfellowshipped her, or excuse me, no, they disassociated her. She said, I didn't disassociate myself. And they said, oh, yes, you did. She said, no, I didn't. I didn't write any letter. And it was because she got baptized in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And she says, well, that's why I got baptized as a JW when I was 15. But then the organization changed, their rules and regulations. And she says, you show me in the Bible where it says about disassociation. Anyway, push came to shove.
Baptized in an organization.
Yeah, it was because she was baptized in another organization. And so she said, she was cool, Rick. And she said, you know what? She said, I have human rights. And she says, I want to tell you something. I've contacted an attorney, and she no sooner said that, Rick, and there were 4 brothers in her meeting. You could only hear it because it was on YouTube. And they immediately got up, grabbed their papers, and they started to walk out. They looked at her like as if they could stone her. They would have done it. And she said, I can't believe this. She said, I can't believe this. And you're supposed to be loving shepherds, and this is the way you're treating me? She says, you're nothing but a bunch of Pharisees. She said, this is really amazing. So my point in saying this whole thing is the fact that many of those elders are very evil. Their hearts are very wicked. They're trying to be judge, jury, and executioner. I was never going to put myself through that humiliation. But you can understand where someone goes through this, or like Larry John Wayne sat in the back of the Kingdom Hall for 3.5 years. And those brothers, meaning the elders, said, oh, no, you're not repentant enough. No, you're not. Really? Really? Who are you to be able to read my heart? You know? So anyway, Rick, thank you so much.
Well, no, thank you for sharing that story, Constance, because what that shows, I'll tell you what, everyone that's ever come out of the Watchtower, I've never heard anybody come out and say, man, what a wonderful organization. I really miss it. Everybody has a story to tell. Everybody knows how cruel and how unfair they can be. And it could be that all of a sudden this is all coming home to roost. This could be the problem here and going on. I just want to make a mention. A lot of new people are coming in right now on YouTube. But anyways, there was a Kingdom Hall shooting in Hamburg, Germany, just about 3.5 hours ago. From what we're hearing, 7 people, evidently Jehovah's Witnesses, not sure, but 7 people have been killed. 30 at least have been injured, some of them very seriously. So what we're doing here tonight on the 6 screens, a special report. We just wanted to get the feelings from, I got a number of people today that wanted me to come on and talk about it. So we're here now, and we have people calling in on our telephone line and giving their thoughts. Now, initially, I'm thinking, and I'm still kind of hoping that this is what happened. I don't like to hope for anyone dying, but it could have been a terrorist attack. But if it's a disgruntled witness that did this, I'll tell you what, this is going to make a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses very, very nervous, because just about every congregation, especially now all over the world, they know they have people that have descended. And some of these people have really been treated harshly. I'd be afraid myself to go to a Kingdom Hall. I know the witnesses, the Watchtower governing body, at least they're trying to get the witnesses back in the Kingdom Halls, get them off of Zoom. This isn't going to help. My excuse would be, I'm not going to go in a Kingdom Hall. There's a lot of people right now that don't like us. I don't feel safe there. So what's the governing body going to do? Make people go? They're going to have to open up those Zoom meetings again and say, fine, stay on Zoom. So it's got some ramifications. We could put a lot of legs on this story. But if you'd like to speak up and say hello. Well,
hey, Rick, I was thinking about, it couldn't really be a terror. In my mind, I don't think it's really a terrorist. I think it's somebody like an unbelieving mate or, a family member that has been cut off from the organization. Because us here, of course, we're all aware of this, but, you have to be a relative of a JW to know how you're cut off, from your family. I think it's somebody, unbelieving mate or, mother, father, aunt, whatever, who was just tired of being cut off from their family. And they've had it. I think they just had it, exploded, because we've heard back in the day before social media, I remember hearing little stories in some little town somewhere about a husband came to the hall. I don't want to quote the state or whatever, but I do remember hearing something like that before social media about in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, where the husband just got tired of it and confronted somebody at the hall. So now that we have all this social media and all the terrorism going on, how can it not happen to the witnesses? How can it not happen to them?
Well, right. That's where your mind would go, especially being ex-witnesses and knowing the problems they're bringing forth upon people. It's your mind does head in that direction, surely. Well, thank you.
Yeah, how could it not?
Yeah.
Because they asked for it. They cut you off.
Yeah.
Point blank. You cut off from your children, your grandchildren, your mother, your father. Some people, they just dump you like a hot potato. Well, some people, they try, and some people remain cool and can deal with that, but others, they just get tired of it, and no, they're not going to deal with it anymore. So I'm surprised to be honest with you, I'm surprised many other stories, maybe they have happened, I'm surprised we haven't heard of many more stories like this. Something happening at the Kingdom Hall. Well,
in the Urban Dictionary, the word postal, people going postal.
Right, going postal. I remember that. Yes.
Now, what happens there is you got a person that's disgruntled because his boss fired him or didn't give him a raise, and they go back and they shoot everybody up in the building. And exactly. That's only over job loss. But look what people lose when they disfellowship. Some people lose everything. Never mind never mind. I mean, everything you can think of, their wife, their family, their friends, their house, everything goes up in smoke.
But Rick, not even disfellowship. It's just like certain family members I know. Certain daughter, and she posts on YouTube, not specifically about this, but she does hair videos. She used her mother as a model. Her mother cut her off like a hot potato when she divorced her JW husband.
Yeah.
You know, and she's not the only one, and things of that nature. You know, you don't have to be disfellowship. You just get cut off. Because when the witness, the JW family member, they cut you off, they think they're doing it in the name of Jehovah, but they're doing it for 7 old guys in Brooklyn or Warwick or wherever the heck they are now. You know?
Yeah. Well, I know that they're in. Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick, this is Justin. And one point I wanted to bring out that maybe we haven't considered, and don't know all the information as I just joined just now, but those who were injured in this shooting, I wonder about the blood issue. Are they going to make sure that they don't take blood to make sure those people who got shot are in good standing? The hospital liaison committee, are they going to be hovering about? Or what is the ambulance people are going to do? The hospital workers, are they going to do that? Make more people die just from not taking blood on top of the whole tragedy?
They probably will. If they're a good witness, if they're a good stand, some will and some won't. They probably will do that. They probably will. Some will and some won't.
Well, the thing is, there's 30 injured, and some of them critically. So if they were gunshot wounds, I mean, they're bleeding. So there's going to be a lot of people probably die from not taking a transfusion. Very good point, Justin. Thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead.
Hey,
Yes, go ahead. You're on with us. This is Larry. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, Larry from Camarillo. So I just wanted to say, it's sad when anybody gets killed, especially to violence. But the saddest thing to me is that Jehovah's Witnesses will take it as being persecuted, and it will further their faith and further their determination to be loyal to that cult. That's the saddest thing for me.
Yeah, that loyalty. They would almost do anything, wouldn't they, Larry?
Yeah.
It's terrible. Hey, I'll be in touch with you. I was going to call you today, but this story broke, so I'm going to give you a call tomorrow. I'm going to talk about a few things. Thank you, Larry.
Right. You're welcome.
All right. My goodness, friends, I'll tell you what, this really rocked my boat when I heard this today. People emailed me. This is like a news clearinghouse here at JW World News. People send all kinds of messages all day long. But just around 3 hours ago, the messages started coming in. I wasn't sure it was real or not, because sometimes people send me phony baloney stories, but this was real. It's all over the internet. Someone want to speak up? You're on. Go ahead. Well,
just a quick one, if I could.
Sure.
You know, this is about, more than likely, it's about hate. And that's what the Watchtower really is. It's an organization that is hateful. If they disfellowship somebody, they teach the congregation that that person is an enemy of God. That's what they teach. And it certainly isn't right. They also teach that if the governments would allow, those Jehovah's Witnesses that got disfellowship would be stoned to death or killed by, and they put this in writing, they would be killed by the elders, or maybe the whole congregation would show up and stone them or something. This is a hate-filled organization. And if you harbor hate in your heart and your mind for a long time, you know what? You go nuts. You get violent, and things like this happen. I'm not saying that is what happened, because I don't know. We just speculate. But it's a very, very nasty organization. I'll just tell you one thing, a personal experience. I was shopping at Sears one time after I was disfellowshipped, and there was another brother at that in the same aisle as I was. I didn't recognize because his back was to me, and he turned around. We faced each other, and he looked at me with so much terror, like I had a machete and I was going to attack him and chop him up. He just looked at me like, "Oh my God, a disfellowship person!" and he put his product back down and flew right out of the store. That's how they screw up people's minds. That person thought that just to even look at me was going to cause him to lose Jehovah's favor or something. The governing body has people so screwed up that these things happen, and I predict, I hope it doesn't happen, because I don't want anybody to lose their life. But these things happen. Suicides happen, murders happen, because of the way the Watchtower teaches people to react. We all have a sin nature, every single one of us, and everyone's going to sin in one way or the other. And if they really wanted to, they could disfellowship everybody. And the ones that deserve the most disfellowshipping would be elders, and particularly the governing body. They are liars and they're thieves, and they stink. Thanks, Rick.
Well, good comments, Dick. And I know the Watchtowers hurt you. And you know, we're all mentioning here tonight, too. We know nobody really knows what happened. We don't know. And, you know, we're not journalists here. The 6 screens is not journalism. This is a talk show. And what talk shows do, they allow people to express their feelings. You know, it's very much like if there's a wicked car crash out in front of your house, and you go outside, you see a car wrapped around a tree and 3 people killed. Then the police come up, and the first thing you start saying is, geez, I wish they would have fixed that curve in the road. That's what caused the accident. I mean, we don't know for sure if it did or not. Maybe the people were drinking, but there's certain evidence or certain circumstances that prevent, that not prevent, but help us to kind of theorize what happened here. Now, it very well could be a shooter. It very well could be an extremist shooter that went in and killed some Christians, supposedly. Kind of interesting that he was found dead in the Kingdom Hall. So, you know, there's a lot of things, and those just coming in here tonight. We got some new ones just coming in. Tragic story out of Germany. 7 witnesses, as we know, dead. A shooting at a Kingdom Hall in Hamburg. We got at least 30 people, according to BBC reports coming in. 30 people have been shot and injured. And, you know, that's even another thing, as Justin just brought up here on our program. You know, they've been shot. They've bullet holes in you. Loss of blood. Those witnesses will not take blood. It's going to, the death toll will probably even mount more. But this is how we all have to look at the Jehovah's Witnesses. And the reason why I even wanted to hop on here tonight is I want to alert people. I want to alert people, and hopefully some Jehovah's Witnesses too are listening in to, not that that's going to make them leave the organization, but, you know, by listening and seeing all of this that's taking place and the tarnished image that your Watchtower has, more and more people are leaving. Go ahead, you're on with us.
Hi, it's Roland again. Yeah, hi. I was just thinking, somebody said earlier on about the guy being a nut job, but whether he was a terrorist or not, we know this has happened in the JW org. Ex-JWs have done this type of thing. And these people are not nut jobs when they go into the org. It's because of all the pressure that they're put under, just like myself and others that have been speaking tonight. They all know what I'm talking about. We've all had the same pressure. Nothing's ever good enough. You know, they're wanting to squeeze you for more and more money, more and more time. People are now having to travel further to the Kingdom Hall, which is putting more pressure on the family, getting ready and stuff like that. And when I found out about what that elder had done to my eldest daughter, I'm not a vengeful person. I'm not, you know, I let a lot of things slide, and because I'm a Christian man, and luckily for him, I had found Christianity, because if I hadn't, Rick, I'd have been down there and I'd have punched his lights out, and probably worse. Because that's how I felt. I was absolutely ripped to the core. I mean, I cried all night when she told me what he'd done. And the thing was, you know, and I wanted vengeance. I did. And, you know, and it was only simply because of, you know, my Christianity that held me back, my conscience and what have you. But I've seen him a couple of times, and many times I wanted to just smack him straight in the face. I really have. And so we don't go into the organisation like this. But this is the sort of things that happen, and people are going to get disgruntled. And one day a father is going to hear about a child, you crying to him because or the mother or whatever, and they are going to go and they are going to take revenge because not everybody is as controlled, you know. And if you've had all that pressure and you finally snap, well, you know, it's you just do these things on the spur of the moment. I don't believe any of them that have done this type of thing were like that before they went into the thing. It's the mental pressure. You've got 4 times the rate of mental illness and suicide within the organisation than you have any other religion, particularly Christian religions. Well, that says it all for me. I mean, you know, it's supposed to be such a paradise, and yet, you know, the depression rate and the mental health issues and the suicide rate is 4 times higher than any other Christian denomination. And I mean, you know, there's no wonder these things are going to happen, regardless of whether this was terrorist or not. We know this happened before with witnesses, and it'll happen again, unfortunately, until something is done about the shunning and the pressure that's put on them.
Well, good comment, Roland. I know that you really have been beat up bad by the Watchtower yourself, and you're learning that your little daughter was molested. Now, just suppose you were a younger man that wasn't a Christian, and you just got out of the army. You were a Green Beret man, worked out in the gym. I don't know if that pedophile would be alive today. I mean, because, you know,
Be alive
yeah.
today. I would have killed him, and I wanted to. And I'm not like that. I really aren't like that, and I never was like that, Rick. But just, you know, just that one thing, I really could have got. If I'd have seen him when she'd have told me, I probably would have killed him. And you know, even, you know, because I was so infuriated and so upset and so hurt for her and hurt that I trusted her, and you know, and that's how it gets you, you know, and all the time, you know, I was going there trying to be an example for them so they could know God, and they were doing that sort of thing, you know, to her, and the sister had a rough time as well, you know, and it's just things like that, and you know, and you can never do right for doing wrong in that organisation. Whatever I did, it was never enough for them. You know, and that's everybody knows what I'm talking about. Nothing's ever enough for them. The money's never enough for them. The hours you do is never enough for them. The time you give them doing field service and going on to do talks and things at assemblies or wherever, Kingdom Halls, never enough for them. There's always something more you can be doing, according to them. You know, and they never help their own. They don't help anybody else. And people are under pressure financially. What they're going to crack? Of course they're going to crack. Anyway, that's it, Rick. I just
Well, no, that's you have every reason in the world to talk about that, Roland. You experienced it, and seriously, there's so many disgruntled witnesses right now. It's not funny. I would be willing to say that so many elders even are getting, you know, punched at. I'm seeing that it's that even before I left back in 2005, because of some sexual innuendo that was going on in the Kingdom Hall I was going to, a fist fight broke out. You can imagine what it's like today in some of these judicial committee hearings with what they're doing and how they're handling these cases, that they're getting punched in the face, I'm sure. So, you know, it's not unusual to hear this. Now, it's not that we take glee, but it's of interest to us. It's of interest to us. We've all been involved with this diabolical organization. It's of interest to see how evil and how wicked this organization is becoming. So when you hear people like Roland and other people that spoke up here tonight that have actually been hurt, Dick Borgie's a good example as well, and others, they don't have a soft spot from the top of their head to the bottom of their feet for the Watchtower. Hey, we got time for another call or two if you'd like to call in.
Hey, Rick, it's Eric.
Yes, Eric.
Hey, if I could add to Roland's comment.
Sure.
As men, we are protectors, right? And it just comes natural, and we get angry. You know, I'm down south, and I see these flags everywhere with the snake on it, the yellow snake, and it says, "Don't tread on me." What the governing body have done to us over the decades or hundreds of years, 140 plus years, has been diabolical to us. It's catching up to them, but it's catching up to all of us, and we're all losing our shit over it, so to speak. Sorry to cuss.
I mean, it's just, and it never validates violence, but I think it comes into everybody's mind maybe for a split second because we're imperfect, and then we reject those thoughts, those of us that are stable enough. But none of us like having our families held hostage. None of us like having the two-witness rule and disfellowshipping people over medical advice. I mean, it's all catching up to them. It's a shame it had to go this way. You think that the governing body would look back and have some empathy and go, gee, maybe our forefathers got some things wrong before us, but this pride and ego of thinking that they're God's one and only channel of earth and that he's speaking to them, but he's not speaking to them. You know what I mean. But I just, go ahead.
Oh, no, I said, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, but I think it's a tragedy, and I feel bad for the families. I feel bad that Watchtower is pushing people beyond what they can bear. It's like if this is unhealthy. They're breeding people with mental illnesses, and then they call us mentally diseased. But a lot of us have mental illness from the fear mongering that they've done to us, and the disfellowshipping arrangement, and on and on. But I just wanted to add those quick points, and I'm sorry to all the families out there in Germany.
Yeah, well, thoughts and prayers do go out for all of them. Thank you very much, Eric. Who's on with us? You want to speak up? You want to say something? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, can you hear me?
Yes.
Rick, do you think that the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to end up like, you remember the Worldwide Church of God that went crumbling down I think it was in the 2000s, but it had been a big organization, but they eventually closed their doors. You think that's going to happen to the Witnesses?
It very well could happen. I know right now the Witnesses are, the way that I put it, the Witnesses, the organization is dead. It just hasn't fallen over yet. Seriously, they have monumental issues. Every day they're dealing with another crisis. Look at just here in the last month, what's gone on in this witness world. It's just unbelievable. As we do the news on Saturday night, all the tragedies, people being shot out in field service, stabbed in field service. Now we hear about a Kingdom Hall where a murderer got in there and killed at least 7 people. The stories go on, and all the pedophilia cases coming out of Pennsylvania, that every congregation, over 500 of them, have to come forward now with their records. And then also out in Washington State, they're coming down on the witnesses, and countries are coming down on the witnesses. They have nowhere to hide. The Jehovah's Witnesses have nowhere to hide. And they're not even going to come forth and, even admit it. They're going to just keep lying and lying and lying. And I'm sure it's not going to end pleasant for them. I'm sure.
Yeah, because you can only say apostate lies for so long. After a while, the witnesses are going to say, wait a minute, when the smoke is fire,
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what they're going to say. Well, thank you, brother, for calling in. Always good to hear from you. Thank you.
Okay.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Carrie.
Yes, Carrie.
Hi. I was thinking, the more I hear this, the more, there's a flip side to this also. Instead of a disgruntled XJW or whatever, I mean, killing 7 people, okay, you have to have multiple guns. I believe there was more people in there. It could be the terrorist also. You can't wound 30 people and kill 7 with just 1 or 2 guns. Either that or he had a machine gun, but it just doesn't seem right. There's something wrong here. I don't think it's a disgruntled Jehovah's Witness or an ex. Not to wound that many people, not to kill that many people. There had to be more than one. And if there was more than one, well, then one of the articles they said that they were fleeing, so maybe one was left behind. And certainly, an ex might kill himself, yeah, but your terrorists aren't going to kill themselves. They're going to do their job and take off.
Well, if that's the case, I mean, I know there was no armed Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't generally carry guns, and especially in Europe, I could almost bet on it. So, you know, who was he shot by? He would have had to shoot himself, I would think. So, you know, would a terrorist shoot themselves? I mean, these are things that you have to ask. So it could be. I mean, maybe it was a terrorist that was it, a suicide terrorist. I don't know. But
well, there's got to be more than one. I mean, for that many people.
Well, there's people. I mean,
30 people.
Well, look at some of these school shootings. Look at Sandy Hook. What was it? I forget how many people died there. Colorado, there was a number.
Right.
A number.
Yeah,
It's not unusual. It's not
right.
unusual. It's not unusual. When you have an automatic rifle, I mean, you start unloading. A lot of people.
Oh yeah, an automatic. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, not out of the question. But it's
well,
a good
it
thought.
was just my thought.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, well, it's a good thought. I'm not going to say it's not. That's why we have the program tonight. Yes, go ahead. You're on with us.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, this is Dawn Fran.
Yes.
A couple different thoughts. The elders, I mean, we should really be concerned for the elders. I know our son is an elder. We have 2 sons-in-laws that are elders, and we wrote a text to them. Whether or not they read it or not, we don't know. But we said, you know, you really need to be careful because there's so many things going on now. And I'm sure, you know, they have heard. And the other thing is a lot of times witnesses don't hear these things, but I don't see how it can be avoided that they don't hear this. You know, here it is. It's got to be in the news and everything. And also the fact that it was at 9 p.m. I know at the Kingdom Hall that we went to, they locked the doors after 7. So did the person go to the meeting and then shoot him? We don't know. We don't know. But anyway, just some thoughts.
Hey, Rick.
Well, thank you, Fran. That's a very good thought. Thank you for commenting. Go ahead, Dick.
I mean, that person that did the shooting probably was a Jehovah's Witnesses, just as your sister alluded to. They locked the doors, and an automatic pistol can hold over 60 rounds, and a Glock can hold as much as 28. So you only have to change the magazine once. So one person could shoot up all those people within a minute or two, because you can go through 50 or 60 rounds in less than 60 seconds. Thanks, Rick.
Oh, that's good. Well, no, I just got someone sent me information here concerning having a gun in Germany. A license to carry a gun is only granted in rare cases. Essentially, when the applicant can prove that he or she is in greater danger than the general public and that carrying a gun will keep them safer. German law has no provision stipulating whether a gun must be concealed or loaded in public or not. So it'd be very difficult. I mean, the United States is making it very difficult to get a gun here, but in Germany, it's even more so. So you can kind of understand that nobody in the Kingdom Hall would have had a gun. So this guy could have, whoever was shooting, yeah, I mean, he had he had them all cornered. They couldn't do a darn thing. But, you know, in some of these instances in malls and what have you, there are people that are carrying guns and they're locked and loaded. And as soon as someone starts firing, man, they get it right back. But the poor witnesses, they were just sitting ducks, and our heart goes out for all of them. Okay, you're on with us. Go ahead. Yes.
Rick, Jimmy.
Jimmy. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Jimmy Bale, how y'all doing?
Doing good, Jimmy. Good to hear from you.
So I guess I'm the neighborhood conspiracy theorist, so to speak.
Yeah, I like to hear it.
I was having a little bit of a conversation with the folks in the chat, and there's a couple of things that stick out to me about this, and I just wanted to share them publicly with you guys.
Sure.
Just, you know, just some information just to think about. One, 2 days ago, I put on my Facebook page to be on the alert that there was going to be a false flag / death coming soon. And the reason I put that out there is because if we look at the media, and remember, folks, if you've seen the big picture, you know why I'm saying what I'm saying. But the information about the Capitol was coming out, the true information on that, the insurrection on January 6th of 2021. I put the information out because I said the mainstream media needs something to clog the news cycles. And I knew that there would be something that would be happening soon. Now, is this the incident? Well, I got further confirmation of it when people in the chat were saying that this information is being blasted all over the news. CNN is showing it. Someone said that in Australia it's being shown. It's being blasted everywhere. And if we remember the episodes in the big picture where I said when a news story comes out, they like to push the propaganda because it's flashy. It gets people's attention. People start thinking about it. And these situations like this have multiple benefits for these deep state players. It gets the news cycles clogged, and for Watchtower, it takes some attention off of Watchtower. And we know these people have no problem with killing people and having blood sacrifices. So those folks in Germany, yeah, like you just said, we're sitting ducks. It's sad. And also in Germany today, they announced that it was pro-Ukrainian individuals that were responsible for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline. And Germany said that they were going to withhold aid and not be involved, that they may be leaving NATO soon. That was announced today. And then this shooting happened today, and it's spread all over the world. Yeah, it sounds fishy to me.
Well, it does, Jimmy. Well, I mean, you are the man that has your antenna up. You're the one that.
Yes, I do. It's 40,000 feet above.
You're the one that nothing gets by your radar. So, hey, good comment. Thank you, Jimmy, very much.
Rick, do you really believe that nonsense Jimmy just said? I mean, for real. I know you gave him a
wait a
show,
minute. I
but
mean,
that's just outrageous. That is totally outrageous.
You know,
I mean, really, this is Germany. And then if you read what he says on YouTube, he said he's going to try to bring up January 6th. I mean, what kind of bullshit? Germany to January 6th.
Well, wait a minute.
That's ridiculous.
Well, now, surely, look, we let you.
Ridiculous.
Jimmy, go ahead. Let Jimmy respond.
Okay.
Yeah, let me respond. For 3 years, I've been saying things, and people have said I've been crazy and ridiculous, and nothing that I'm saying is making sense. But as the time has gone by, things that I've been saying have been proven true. My track record's pretty good. I'm not saying that I'm completely correct on everything, but it's not fair to say what I said as being impossible and ludicrous, because anything is possible when it comes to these evil people.
All right. Well, well, Shirley, no, Shirley.
Right.
Well, wait a minute, Shirley. Now, not only listen. Everyone has a right to their thoughts. So let Jimmy have his thoughts. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, a lot of times when we, let Jimmy, go on a tangent there, we kind of take away from the real purpose of the sixth screen. The message here for the sixth screen is to continue to talk about the tragedy of the Watchtower and not so much put on a tinfoil hat or whatnot, because other people listen to this, and if we go too far afield, it can take away from the real message that the sixth screen is providing people to get out of this dangerous cult, as well as to get some type of support system. And that's why we're here, not to get into politics and, trying to link these different things. It just doesn't dignify the status of this type of program, Rick. And I know you try to let everybody have a voice, but let's keep it dignified. Let's keep it, and level playing ground. And I think that's what Shirley was mentioning, and I think that's what others are trying to mention as well. Thank you very much.
Rick, may I respond to that?
Yeah, well, go ahead. Let Jimmy respond to it. Yeah.
Okay, so in light of that fact, that is one reason why I've decided to stop doing the big picture on the six screens, because the information that I bring out, which has been, pretty accurate, was getting shut down. I was getting censored. Rick's channel was being censored. His Facebook channel was being censored. And they only censor people when they don't want true information coming out. And so that's why I went ahead and left 6 screens. And because I also know that in the XJW community, some folks don't want to accept this stuff. They don't want to accept the fact that Watchtower is involved in bigger evil than just being Watchtower. So, you know, that's why I left. But Watchtower is involved with this stuff. Well, and it has to be said, someone's got to say it, because just because people wake up from Watchtower doesn't mean they haven't woke up to everything else going on in this world. And I say that respectfully, because everybody's at different levels of waking up.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate that comment there. Hey, so let's get back to the real tragedy here of what happened there in Germany. I think it's going to be, as I mentioned, this is Justin once again, it's going to be more deaths that are going to follow this. And if we follow this story, if it was 7 people that were killed, the numbers are going to rise due to the blood. You just watch and see that number go up. And that's going to be the real tragedy of this story. It's not only the shooting, but also the other deaths that come behind this due to the fact that there's no blood being taken place, and family members are going to be really impacted by that.
Well,
No, I agree with that.
Justin, yeah,
It'll be horrible.
in fact, it more than likely will hit the news when some of these people are going to be dying because they refuse a blood transfusion. That's going to be all over the news too. But just before we move on, I just want to let Jimmy know that, you know, his program did very well here. And he decided that it'd be best because it was bringing reproach, so to speak, and we were getting censored. But, you know, there's a lot of witnesses in his camp, and they do get into some of this stuff. And a lot of the stuff, I know Jimmy sometimes, and he always does suggest that some of it might sound a little crazy, what have you. He doesn't believe all of it either. But he has said many things that we have traced it on, that he has said on the 6 screens, it did come to fruition. But everyone has a voice, as we say, Justin, so that's good.
Well, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All righty.
I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. All right. Anyways, my goodness, you're on here with us, Justin, but you got a good point too, Justin. I want you to know that you sound like a straight on guy. You can look down the road. You're like a futurist. I'm glad you brought that up tonight about
Rick?
these people being injured because they're going to need blood transfusions. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, Rick, I just want to know if I can comment before you end the show tonight.
Of course, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. I have to give a shout out for Jimmy. I personally have high respect for him. I think he's a very direct, humble, and factual person. He's a straight shooter. And from the stuff that I have come across in the years of my personal experience and research, I know he's right on the money. And just like I say to others, when somebody hears something that doesn't ring well for them, to come on and say, that's crazy, that's ludicrous, that's ridiculous, to me, that is the same as calling somebody a liar just because they don't like what they heard or what the person said. I have a very strong feeling toward those that put down somebody else's truth because their truth can accept their truth. You know, if you feel something is ridiculous, if you don't believe it, if you think something is ludicrous, own it. Don't condemn the other person.
We want to try to keep the dignity of the show. This show is 6 screen. This is about helping other witnesses who's leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses. We don't want to get off on a tangent on here. This is a dignified show. We want to keep this conversation respectful and on target and on topic.
Yeah,
that was the point being made. No one called Jimmy out of his name. No one called him out of his name. I don't have any hate for Jimmy, but we want to keep the show respectable and on topic. This is a dignified show that's talking about Jehovah's Witnesses and those who are leaving this cult. We want to stay on target here. Rick has a very dignified show, and this show helps people. This is not a show about politics and conspiracy theories. There's other programs for that. Let's stay on target here, people. Let's help Rick out. Thank you, Rick.
Wow, very good. Go ahead, Joe. Yep.
I would like to say there's absolutely no dignity in anything that's taking place in the lives of any of the witnesses because of that organization. Now, I understand the desire to keep things dignified, But unfortunately, I think we're way past that point. And I think it's high time to put everything on the table and to analyze whatever's out there. And I would like to support Jimmy and what he's doing, and everyone else to keep an open mind, because your enemies don't want you to think about the things that you don't like.
Well, very good, Joe. No, but also, Justin, we do appreciate you as a caller. You come across as a very intelligent man, and we appreciate your comments too. It makes it very hard here. One of the main issues I have here is right in the very beginning, I wanted to get all the angles on the Watchtower, all of them, from whether it be satanic ritual abuse to the Illuminati, Freemasonry. It's a whole gamut. I know a lot of people stay away from it, so sometimes it does pop up, kind of like in the middle of a discussion. But I understand what you're saying too, Justin. Thank you very much. Okay, who's next? Who wants to say something?
Rick, may I finish my comment before I was interrupted repeatedly? I was patient. I waited. I tried to
I didn't know you were done. I didn't know you were done. I thought you were done. I'm sorry. So go ahead. Yeah.
No, it's not you. All I was saying is whether or not you believe something or don't, just own your opinion. That's all I was basically saying. But what I wanted to say, thank you so much, my brother. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit upset. I was thinking about the Watchtower as a whole is a bully of the worst kind. And just like an abuser, they enjoy the power and control over the one they're abusing. But sooner or later, and they will be in shock, an abuser might find himself on the receiving end of what they have been doing repeatedly to their victim. And I just think it's entirely possible that that is what is behind the increasing episodes that we've been hearing about of attacking Kingdom Halls and attacking different brothers and sisters. And I also wanted to add that I stepped away from the show about an hour ago to call my mother, who is a hardcore Jehovah's Witness, to let her know the news that you brought out. Thank you so much, my brother. And she's very upset. And she said, well, I'm sure they'll talk about it at the meeting. And I'm thinking, what if they don't say anything? Thank you so much, my brother. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, thank you, Anne. But no, you brought up a thought here that I had a note on. So we in the ex-witness world, we're kind of giving our feelings on it. But how about the witness world itself? How are they going to handle this? How would Jehovah's? Well, I'm sure. I mean, I hope they bring it up. I hope that at least there's some thoughts that are given about this and not just covered up like they did with the governing body member, Tony Morris, leaving. But I'm sure they will speak about this, but they're going to look at it as total persecution. They're going to look at it like, well, Jehovah said this was going to happen in the last days. But, you know, this is really going to put a damper, like I said earlier. They're trying to get people back to the meetings in person. Would you want to go back? I don't care if it happened in Germany, if it happened in Rhode Island. I'd feel nervous myself going back to the meetings if, you know, after coming out of COVID and being paranoid about that, and now you hear about a Kingdom Hall with people being shot up and killed, it's going to make people nervous. Now, this might be, in fact, well, I don't know if it'll be the largest mass murder in the Jehovah's Witnesses, but from what I can gather, I know there was a bombing once in Australia. Someone planted a bomb. This is back in the 80s. They planted a bomb under the stage at a Kingdom Hall. I believe 12 people died then, but I'm not sure. I don't have the information in front of me. But this is a tragedy nonetheless. We want to pray and wish the best for those people that have been involved. So anyways, do we have any more thoughts before we wrap this program up tonight?
That's all they're going to do, Rick. They're just going to pray. They're just going to pray for our brothers in Germany with no explanation given. That's all they'll pray. If there's a meeting tonight, Thursday night, they'll offer prayers for the brothers in Germany, and Sunday night, they will offer prayers. And that'll probably be it.
That's it.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
This is Donnie. I'm a first-time caller, and I just was wondering, I don't have the internet. Is there a way to text thoughts that come to my mind to you?
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Because I don't have the internet, but I mean, I do, but I never can use it right. I always screw it up. And but I've got some really interesting stuff that I could bring out that I just can't do it right this way.
Or do you want to speak about it tonight, or you just want to text me?
Well, I just had a quick thought here about maybe a guy is so hurt with all the stuff that goes on around the hall. Maybe he, in his crossed up mind, thought that he just wanted to shoot his family, and that way they can be resurrected and, all guaranteed the resurrection. It's just another odd thought that I had. Yeah, I was wondering if I texted stuff, if that would be okay.
Yeah, the thing is, I hate to give my phone number over because people will just call me like crazy. You don't have access to email or anything, Facebook?
I do, but I wouldn't be able to find it right now.
Well,
and also I don't have a full TV thing. All I got is
all right.
that Roku
unless you want to give me your telephone number,
Oh, I would do that. I would do that in a minute.
All right, well, give it to me, then I'll call you.
Okay. I'm at 1-575
Yep.
317
Yeah.
9137.
9137, and your name is Don?
Johnny.
Donnie. Where you?
That's not my name, but
That's okay. Where you calling from, Donnie?
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico. Well, very good. Well, thank you for coming in. We got good friends. We got Mike and Kimmy out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched their deal too.
Yeah, well, very good. Well, thank you, Donnie, for calling in. I'll give you a call. Let me take a day or so to do it. Probably tomorrow sometime. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're in
I appreciate that.
You're in the 3 hour. You're 3 hours behind. I think you're in what, Pacific time, or you in Central?
Yeah. Well, this thing here is coming in live right now. I only got that Roku thing. So usually when I'm watching you, I'm way behind.
All right. So you're live tonight. Were you on Roku or what? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on Roku and it's live right now. So I was able to get in. Otherwise, I can't,
Yeah, well, thank you, Donnie, for coming in. Oh, hey, thank you for calling in to appreciate it. I'll get a hold of you. Thank you, Donnie.
Okay. I appreciate that very much.
All right. Well, there you have it.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead, Carol.
I know.
Yes, Carol.
Yeah. Listen, this is really neat having a midweek show. You had one, what was it, last week? Why can't we have one every week? I know you've got a lot of stuff to do for Saturday, but if you picked a main topic that's going on right now in the news or whatever, it would be great. Even if it was an hour, it would be great.
Well, what I'm doing is I am setting up a new, it's not a new channel, but I'm going to do these.
No, not a channel. I mean, have a midweek program.
Well, you're going to be hearing more from me, but short little, it's called Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness News Brief. They're going to be maybe 10 minutes long, the longest. And I'm going to be doing those on YouTube. You'll be seeing a lot of those almost on a daily basis. And anything that's going on in the Watchtower, we're going to report on it. So we'll keep you right up to date on what's going on behind the curtains.
Okay.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I agree with that sister there. A midweek meeting with Rick Barron would be great. Better than a midweek Kingdom Hall meeting, I tell you that.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I hate to have you guys coming to so many meetings, I'm even surprised tonight that we got so many people coming in here tonight, because I just put this thing together. I just heard it an hour or so before he came on. So I had to slap everything together and get the news and get the pictures and all of that. But I'm really surprised that we have this many people in right now. So it's just amazing to me.
We're starving for it. We're starving for it. We enjoy the program, and you give out great information, and it gives us a way to network with each other and share thoughts. And I really like the program. So a midweek meeting with you, Rick, I think would be great. 2 thumbs up for that.
Well, thank you.
Got my vote.
Well, thank you. And, even tonight, I was even a little apprehensive. I thought about it. I paced the floor. Well, what happens when you come on with stories like this? They accuse you of sensationalizing over embellishing. And then that certainly isn't my motive. But I know that a few Jehovah's Witnesses were concerned with what happened, and they were writing me. And I figured, boy, this might be a good opportunity to get on and get people's thought about it, because, it really is a big story. This is one of the biggest stories ever that I have been reporting on here on the 6 screens. How many times you hear about that ever happening? Never. I have. So, this is big. So I wanted to come on tonight, and I thank you for all you guys coming in and speaking up. It was really good. Thank you.
Rick, what was the town name in Germany?
Hamburg.
Hamburg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got pictures of it here. Let me put the pictures up for those that didn't see it. It looks like a pretty big Kingdom Hall. It's got, I don't know if that whole building's a Kingdom Hall. It might have been like one story. But according to what I'm reading here, there are a lot of witnesses in Germany, so it could be the whole building, but I don't know. But anyways, if you're looking at that staircase, evidently that's where, I'm just assuming, because the police was saying that they found the shooter on the staircase. So there's a staircase.
That's good coverage. That's a wow.
Yep. So there you go. So that could be the case.
And seven were killed. Do we know how many were injured?
Over 30.
Okay.
And
wow.
not only that, some of them really critically injured. So they're not going to take blood. So sad to say, you're going to be hearing more dying. So we have to pray for those people too.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think that brother made a fine point. Sadly, that the blood issue is involved in that story. I'm going to stay up on it this week and see how much coverage it gets in the American press. I think it'll probably just be covered in, the European press, but I'll be watching the story this week. Also, I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if it benefits your show or not, the caller that comes on that is named Tim, I would love to interview him, but I don't know if you could run it. He seems to have a lot of arcane knowledge. It would be an interesting interview.
When does he come on, Pixie?
He has comments. He's had comments for months. I would love to talk to him for about 20 minutes.
Is it on YouTube chat,
again,
or he comes in on the telephone line?
He comes in on 6 screens, but again, I don't know if it would be something, if your show would be improperly tagged because of it, we couldn't run it, but I would like to interview him.
Well, Tim, are you out there now? Was there a fellow named Tim? Are you listening in tonight? We could put this thing together. Well, if I hear him this weekend when we do our program, Pixie, I'll try to put this together for you, okay?
Okay, and thank you for all you do. I don't think the listeners realize how much background goes into producing what you do. So I'll chat with you on Saturday.
We got to thank you, Pixie.
Thanks.
Well,
bye.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would come home from school and I'd say, Mom, come home from work, whatever. And I'd say, Mama, anybody call me? She goes, no, you're not that important, son. And, she brought me back down to earth. And going back to this conspiracy theory here, Rick, Jehovah's Witnesses do not even make we don't even make 0.1% of the population, not even 0.0%. So to think that, if I was an evil, like Dr. Evil, and I was going to do something to sidetrack the media, I think I would go to the Catholics, or I would go to some huge mosque. You know what I mean? Because I would really do a distraction. But a lot of the Jehovah's Witnesses I talk to, they all say the same thing, that at some point you got to realize that we are not the most popular kid in the block. And the other thing too is a lot of people are saying these conspiracy theories like, well, I'm going to check the facts. No. When dead bodies are coming out of the Kingdom Hall, that says jw.org, when people are in the hospital, we know these things to be fact. So we don't know a lot of things, and I agree. But a dead body is, in my book, is a fact. A young boy and a girl and a grandma in a hospital with gunshot wounds, it's a fact. Police officers underneath a jw.org site in Hamburg, Germany, yeah, that's pretty good to me. So all I'm saying is that this happened. This happened. I don't know why. But for me to think that somehow the Jehovah's Witnesses we're being used to distract the whole world, because because something that the International Monetary Fund or something that the United Nations is going to do. We're not that important, Rick. Rick, we're Jehovah's Witnesses. We're low on the totem pole. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I mean we're low on the pecking order, as you say. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Hey, listen, Gilbert, hang in there for a second. I got to go check a computer in the other room. Why don't you talk to some people here for a second or two, okay?
Hey, Gilbert. Hey, Gilbert. It's Rich Ford out here in California, and I just got a couple of thoughts for you. One, I really enjoyed your comment a little bit earlier, and what you said I thought was right to the point, that people do get a little crazy when they're in the Watchtower organization. And were you in it for, you were an elder, if my memory serves me correctly. Is that correct?
Unfortunately, don't.
Was that a yes? Gilbert, your phone's breaking up. Does anybody have any comments? My thought about this shooting was that Jehovah's Witnesses have been trying to tell their people to go door to door that Jehovah's protecting angel is going to protect you, because they want you out in the door and they don't give a damn if you get hurt or not. Who was protecting that congregation? Didn't Jehovah God know what was in that person's mind and heart? Did that person who shut up the Kingdom Hall, didn't Jehovah know that he was carrying a gun and what he intended to do with the gun? I mean, how come the gun did not jam? You know?
Yeah.
That's a good
thing. Because my brother Jesse, he talks about how it's funny the similarities, like with remember the Egyptians and Moses, where the gods came back and haunted them. So everything that the Egyptians were worshiping came back and destroyed them. And it's kind of like karma, something like that, like karma is happening to Jehovah's Witnesses, because Jehovah's Witnesses would write a book about a happy family life, and look what's happening to them. Jehovah's Witnesses will write a book about this or this and that. And it seems like everything is coming back. Now, that's what you're describing. You're describing like the Pharaoh and the frogs, where he would worship the frogs, and now the frogs are coming back and killing his country. It's the karma of the Jehovah's Witnesses teachings, what you just said. It's like a Pharaoh Moses moment. And listen, I'm listening to the people in the chat, and I'm having fun with conspiracy theorists, guys. Listen, if you guys can dish it out, you guys got to take it. So it's all good. We love everybody, but don't take it personal. That's all I'm saying. If you're gonna be in the kitchen, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. It's all is fair in love and war, is all I'm saying.
Well, I'd like to add something, if you don't mind. I'm calling from I'm calling from Minneapolis, but when I was sort of watching the show, I was thinking, you reap what you sow. Remember when we were all, I faded from Jehovah's Witnesses by like 2014. And so basically, I think that is what's going on, because everything that's done in the dark comes to the light. And I think it's making its rounds with everything that is concerning Jehovah's Witnesses and what they have represented in people's lives that have been lost, and all the people that have been shunned, and all the people that have committed suicide because of this cultish religion. I think that what the gentleman just said, who I just started speaking after, one thing that makes me wonder is, how do we know? Because how do we know that the governing body, they're okay with covering up the child abuse, but how do we know that they are not the ones responsible? I'm just throwing that out there, not to try to throw conspiracy, but it's like they're losing money. They're continuing to lose money. And we know that what they're doing, the religion, is nothing sacred. We know it's not sacred, but how do you know that they are not trying to find ways to funnel money to keep that religion going. That's all I wanted to say today. Thank you all for listening.
You said that I would be the other way around. I would be funneling money out because you know that the Titanic is sinking. So I agree with what you're saying, but I think it's exactly, if I was an evil governing body leader, I would be funneling the money away because I know that the days are numbered. The writing is on the wall. But I understand what you just said. I think the other way around.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
And more than likely, they're all pedophiles themselves, the governing body. And here's why I say that. They put it in the elders book, the Shepherd the Fourth book, that if someone's watching kiddie porn, well, you know what? We're not going to disfellowship him for that, or even publicly reprove him for that. So it's going to be private. If a person is watching kiddie porn, it's a very small step to actually doing it. If the opportunity was there, they would do it. And I believe they're responsible for all the pedophilia that's going on in that organization. And as cowardly as they are, me and Rick went to Columbia Heights to talk to the governing body. They were scared of Rick and myself. They looked at Rick like, oh my God, he's here. Security people all over the place for two guys in their 60s.
Well, I'll tell you why. I'll explain to you this why, because I learned this when I was in 7th grade. And it's real simple, and I told this to Rick. James says, do you believe there's one God? You do quite well, and even the demons believe and they tremble. So there's an aura around you. It's kind of like the Jedi Knight with Obi-Wan Kenobi. There's an aura that physically around you, like an electrical field. And when somebody like Rick walks into the Watchtower, the negative aura of the very evil people in Watchtower are disturbed. It's kind of like an AM or FM or microwave frequency. They can't take it. So just looking at somebody like an Obi-Wan Kenobi scares them, because you come to realize there's a moment in time, like Winston Churchill says, that you're more than a human being. You're a spirit. And so it makes sense that I learned this when I was in 7th grade. That's why I'm GG for GB, because, I learned this a long time ago. It wasn't rocket science. That when somebody is doing something very bad and evil and they're next to you, they're afraid of you. Why? Because you're a person who walks with God. You're a manly person. You're a good person. And they can't take it. It's like you're emanating microwaves, and they're literally freaking out. But listen, I'm just going to say real quick, and I'm going to throw a bone to Jimmy Bell. I learned this about the pedophiles with Alex Jones, and I'm not going to say that the governing bodies are all pedophiles. However, how pedophilia works, it's like a termite colony. They find a host body, and then they climb up the walls, and then you see them all the way in the roof. So when a pedophile becomes an elder and a circuit overseer and a district overseer, a zone overseer, a daily graduate, they bring people with them along the chain. And so then you say, well, how is it that the governing bodies filled with pedophiles or pedophile enablers, or these people that bring the kids in? Well, because it's like a termite colony. And then you've come to find out that your school has pedophiles, your fire department, your police department. And how did this happen? That's how they operate. So you could have a lot of very good people in an organization, but this is how it works. Once they get to the top, they have built that colony, that wall and then they start spreading their minions all throughout the different committees, all throughout the different departments of a structure. So that's how Watchtower is infiltrated, is all I'm saying.
Can I add a comment to you, brother, if I could? I would love to add to something that you just said. When you brought up Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I'm a Star Wars fan, and I actually have deeply connected Star Wars and Jehovah's Witnesses together. I see the Jedi as kind of Jehovah's Jehovah's Witnesses because they were corrupt and trying to do the good thing, but they went to war. But I digress. You talked about the force. And when I think of the force, when what you described and what I feel and what my wife feels is being an empath, right? You respond to, because we're all made of energy as human beings. And some of us either constantly put out positive energy or negative energy. And of course, everyone at their own time is going to release one of those at some point. But when someone is constantly negative and someone is constantly positive and they meet, it's like Obi-Wan meeting Darth Vader. It's like bad versus evil. And it's not, I'm not saying that the person is evil, but they're projecting from a human standpoint from one to another. And some people are so powerful as an empath where they are a mirror. And when a person sees someone and they immediately judge them, they're seeing what they don't like in themselves, because it's reflecting back to them. It's not that the person is projecting that to them. It's that they have like an emotional problem. And I feel as though the Jehovah's Witnesses have a problem with that big time. They're not aware of who they are. Everything, just for me to talk about energy, which I have to my puny mother, is demons. Nope. Energy is demons, you know. If you can feel someone's bad intent, no, that's the demon. It's just everything is that way. We're only taught to think Watchtower thoughts, you know. Intuition. That's another thing that people don't really talk about in Jehovah's organization, but there certainly are plenty of people that use it. But I thought I would just go on with that point to you, that the governing body are basically Darth Sidious, because at this point they've been scheming against us for a long time, and only God can be the judge. But they have hurt so many people, and I only see pure evil from them at this point. And I didn't always feel that way. I struggled, and my wife struggled to rip the conditioning out of us, the indoctrination, because we wanted to, you associate it with God. And once you rip that away and you see all the truth from what they are, you can't go backwards.
Well, if you keep continuing, I'm going to have to charge you. But
I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm going to have to give it back to Rick.
Well, okay, I'm right back here. Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you very
Anyone
much.
can interrupt at any time when I'm talking. Sorry.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, you guys. Really appreciate you coming. Thank you very much to Mr. Gonzalez. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. So anyways, just to bring you guys up to speed, in case you're just coming in new here, there was tragedy in Germany. We had a Kingdom Hall in Hamburg, Germany, that, 7 Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm saying Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm not sure. But it was in a Kingdom Hall, so I assume they were Jehovah's Witnesses that were killed and 30 injured. Now, that happened about 4 hours ago, and my phone started ringing off the hook. People were writing me, Rick, did you hear this? Did you hear this? So I figured we'd jump on and talk about it. But a sad thing, friends, I want you to think about it, that, pray for the witnesses and give some thought. And, we all have, many of us have relatives in the witness organization, and it frightens me. As I said earlier, it frightens me to know that there's so much mayhem lately in that organization. It's frightening. So we don't know what's going to happen. But as I said earlier as well, we know that cults, especially dangerous, destructive cults, they don't have good end times. Everyone gets desperate. Look at what happened just in the last couple of weeks with Tony Morris leaving. Look what happened a month ago out in Colorado with a man killing his wife in the parking lot of a Kingdom Hall. Look at what happened here today in Germany. This is like crazy stuff. I've been reporting now here for 17 years, and I got news for you. There's never an end. I'm coming on now sometimes twice a week to just report the news. It's happening. But we got a few more minutes left. If anyone wants to say something, go ahead. You're on with us. *6.
Hey, Rick?
Go Carrie first, yep.
Okay, real quick, now, you see what a wonderful thing that this is for a midweek show. You know what? You need to feed us. We're hungry people. And you thought this was going to be an hour show. Well, it's going on 2 hours. We're having a wonderful time. And you can see how people really need this. And you've got a new audience. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm not. I have to say, I'm very happy. I'm happy. I'm having fun doing it. I'm glad that people are being helped, and we do have a good audience. I must say that. And you know what makes this program unique, Carrie? What really makes it unique is when people like you call in, and Justin and Gilbert and Dick and Connie and Anne-Marie and all these people calling in. That's what makes the show, because you don't know who's going to call in next, do we? It could be anybody.
Right.
So
I love Justin. Oh, he is a sweetheart. He's right on the money. He is.
Oh, he is.
Thank you,
yeah.
Justin.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. He does a good job. He really, really does.
Yeah.
Always good to hear from him. And I know sometimes you're like one big community here, and sometimes we don't get what the other person's really saying, but it makes it kind of hard for me because I want to hear everybody. I want to hear what everybody has to say about the Watchtower. I don't care how crazy it sounds. I want to hear it because you know something, in the confines of all that craziness, we're going to find an answer. We're going to find an answer. What makes this Watchtower tick? All right, well, we got a few more minutes left here, and I'm really glad tonight I hopped on because I know that this is something. You know, at first I said, you know, just let it go. I'm not going to get involved because people start calling you a sensationalist or just trying to embellish things. That's not my, you see here that this YouTube is not being monetized. I'm not looking to put commercials up here so I can make some money. This is, I just wanted to come on and tell all of you folks. I wanted to tell all of you folks what was happening. And I know some of you are probably even still hearing it for the first time. And I have to report on something like that. If you have a channel called Jehovah's Witness World News, then when there's a news event, you got to come on and talk about it. This is where Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses get their news, right here on JW World News. So it's really good, really good. What would you like to say? You're on with us? All right.
Rick, can I still talk?
Yes, go ahead, Anne-Marie. Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart. You know, I understand where Carrie's coming from. Oh, wouldn't it be great to have a midweek and you have a new audience and we need more of this. But Rick, I think most of us have an understanding that you work so hard. I still am amazed that you do what you do. So I want to thank you for working as hard as you do. And thank you for doing this special on top of all of the hard work that I'm sure a lot of people don't realize that you do, on top of your regular job, on top of taking care of your wife, on top of all of the emails and the phone calls that you're expected to answer and all the Facebook messages. You're only one man. But going along with what Carrie was saying, if we could possibly clone you into 2 or 3 more Ricks, and you know, then maybe you could pull it off, and that would be great. But since you're one man, I think you are phenomenal. And on the other side, I wanted to just put it out there. You know how the Watchtower is always trying to figure out how to make more money?
Yes.
I'm wondering if they, I mean, Rick, if I'm off the hook, I don't know. But I can just imagine that they're going to go after the kids' ice cream money and guilt the children into giving them their allowance. What's to say that they don't put it out there, that they set up a fund for all of the Jehovah's Witnesses to contribute to help the families of the dead Jehovah's Witnesses?
Do you think that's going to happen?
No, I'm asking you, what do you think of the possibility that they might at least consider it? I mean, I don't put anything past these people. It's all about what's in it for us.
Well, I would be willing to.
No,
it's a good thought, and I'm glad you brought it up. But I would have to say no, they don't. You know, they really don't take into consideration people's tragedies, difficulties, and reversals. They don't. I remember when Dr. Jerry Bergman, who was a psychiatrist for the Watchtower, and he was working at a convention, and 3 little babies died. It was either 3 or 2. Let's just say 2, but I think it might have been 3. But a couple of babies died from heat exhaustion. And, you know, he went to the, administrator at the convention and said, we have to announce that we had 2 babies die here at the convention because of heat exhaustion. Tell the mothers not to put the blankets on the kids. And they would make the announcement. They could care less about people dying. The only thing they're worried about is it's going to be seven less people that don't contribute, you know? Go ahead.
I understand. No, I'm just thinking, what if they could have made $10,000 or $20,000 off of that announcement? All I'm saying is, it seems like they never seem to pass up a way if they can get them more money flowing into their coffers. I'm just thinking, what if, you know? But I appreciate your bringing that out. Isn't that terrible that babies were dying, old people were having heat stroke, and they wouldn't announce, hey, guys, it's hot. You know, you got to take precautions. Yeah. I remember going to the conventions with my newborns twice. I went to an international assembly with a newborn, and thank God I had some sense, because I put my baby underneath a chair on the cement where it was cool. And that's terrible. Babies die. Thank you, Rick. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, I didn't interrupt. Always good to hear from you, Anne Marie. Well, we had a good little program.
It's a sad, hard news story, Rick, but you broke a story, because Reuters carries it, and when I scroll down from Reuters, it's in Arab News, it's in MSNBC, it's around the world, this story.
Oh, there you go. It's a worldwide story. A worldwide story. Thank you, Pixie, for saying that. I'm glad it's making the rounds. Yes. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Yep. Thanks, Rick. Just a really quick thought. You know, when we went to Bethel years ago, they had a state-of-the-art facial recognizer. They just made over $2 billion with the sales of property in Brooklyn. They could provide each Kingdom Hall with a metal detector, so that doesn't happen again. They won't do that. But when we went to Bethel, they had a whole bunch of security people came down just because of two guys in their 60s. Thank you.
Yeah, they had us on facial recognition, Dick. And, you know, I thought it, because I was told that ahead of time that they're using facial recognition. But as soon as we walked in, man, we got zapped, didn't we? Huh? Boy.
Yeah, we did.
It was unreal. Well, anyways, folks, I guess we're coming to an end here. You know, I enjoyed tonight's program, not the fact that we had 7 Jehovah's Witnesses die and 30 injured in Hamburg, Germany. But I enjoyed the fact that you could all come on, we could get it off our chest, because, you know, we've all been connected with the witness world. And it's something, it means something to us. So we just haven't walked away and forgot about all of it. You know, many of us still have witness relatives in the so-called truth, as they call it. So, you know, we're concerned. Whenever you hear stories like this, obviously your ears perk up. But I just want to say that, you know, pray for the victims, pray for those that have lost their loved ones. You know, they're people too. And like I say, Jehovah's Witnesses, just about 99% of all of the witnesses I've ever met are good people. And it's just the Watchtower that we pick on. And I hope the Watchtower, as Anne Marie even brought up earlier, I hope they really have some type of help for these people. When you have a tragedy like this, the big boys have got to come in. Go ahead. You want to say something? You're on with us.
Yes, Mr. Farron. My name is Chris. I'm out in Arizona. I'm a very new listener. I don't want to mess up your flow. I'm not quite sure how the system works, but I assume that I'm on. I want to thank you. I'm a former elder and was in for years, been out for a while, but I just want to thank you so much for what you do. I caught this on YouTube on my you know, that it was live and so forth, and I don't want to mess up your show, but I just want to, first of all, I'm not quite sure what happened in Germany, but thank you for not just keeping us updated, but also allowing a lot of us to recover.
Yeah, in fact, what's your name?
My name is Chris.
Chris, yeah, in fact, well, what we learned about 4 hours ago in Germany, I got some pictures up now on YouTube. There's the Kingdom Hall. That is the Kingdom Hall. I don't know if it's a 3-story Kingdom Hall or whether the Kingdom Hall is on 1 story or whatever, but that's a Kingdom Hall. And 4 hours ago, 7 Jehovah's Witnesses were killed in that Kingdom Hall. And there was a shooter that was found evidently on those stairs. I'm just assuming the report said that they found the shooter on the stairs and he was dead. They don't know who it would be. You know, some are speculating it could have been a terrorist. Others are thinking it could have been a disgruntled witness. So, you know, nobody knows for sure because the story's still breaking. But that's what's happening. There was 30 people injured, Chris. There was 30 people injured, and some of them critically. So it was brought up here on the call tonight that because of the blood issue, there's probably going to be more deaths, sad to say. It's a terrible situation. Terrible situation. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That is the situation. Real quickly, many years ago, this would have been about around 1973, 74, when my wife and I were studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. I was in the military in Germany and started studying with the witnesses. They spoke English. We attended a Kingdom Hall that was in a rented building, very similar to that one. I'm not saying it's the same building at all, but very similar to that one. They had meetings in Würzburg, Germany. And so it kind of struck a chord. When I saw the pictures earlier, I thought, I was, you know, I didn't assume it was the same building, but I think that at least back then the witnesses did rent space in buildings like that. But, and I know you probably want to get off, you want to conclude your show, but Rick, thank you so very much for helping people like me.
Well, I'm glad that you listened in here tonight, Chris. Now, don't be a stranger. We do this every Saturday night, and we have what we have is we call it the Six Screens Tele-Network, and we have approximately 17 different programs that are running on the network right now. And for the most part, they're done by ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and they all take time out and do a program. We started this network years ago, and we're really gaining a lot of steam. A lot of ex-witnesses are listening in, and what's unique is people being able to call in like yourself tonight. We can get in real time, Chris. You can talk to us, and that's so refreshing for so many people that have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower.
Well, sir, you are a good man, a good host. You're very professional, and I'll go ahead and bow out now, but I will be listening. Now, I'm in what they call Mountain Standard Time. On Saturdays, would you know? Okay, you can quote me in Eastern Standard Time. What time do you come on?
Okay, what we do is we come on at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard, and that's a program. We have two different programs that come on then. One called "Touched by the Tentacles of the Watchtower." And we have another program called Returning to Light. They alternate every week. And then at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I do my news. And that lasts for 2.5 hours. And then we have different programs that come on afterwards. And Chris, I have to tell you, they run all night long, sometimes till 8:30, 10 o'clock the next Sunday morning. Yeah.
Well, sir, I love you. I love your show, and I just want to thank you again. And as I say, I'll bow out now. So some others. By the way, the callers that I heard now, I have caught you on delayed feed on YouTube several times in the past, and that's why I was surprised or not delighted because of the situation, but happy that you were on and I could call in live this time. So I'll try to catch you on your regular shows. But your callers are extremely enlightened and very helpful.
Well, thank you. We get smart callers. I'll tell you, smart people listen to the Six Screens. Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Don't be a stranger.
Okay, God bless.
Oh, thank you. Same to you.
Star 6 to get out of here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. There you go.
God bless.
All right, thank you. Well, there you go. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I'm sorry, dear. It's Constance. I was just trying to get a hold of Annie, Schultz.
Yeah.
She's originally from Hamburg, but she's up in Canada. She just sent me an IM and said she just, saw my message. So, Rick, she's probably on right now. I said, Annie, jump on and ask some questions or send any comments. I was just trying to get a hold of her because she might have some information, possibly, Rick, or, maybe family that are back there. And she's on right now listening. So I just wanted to share that with you before you hang up.
All right. Are you on there with us, Annie? Annie from Montreal. Are you on with us? Annie from Montreal, if you're on with us, go ahead and speak up, hit star 6. Well, we'll give her a couple of minutes and see what's happening. But, I have to tell you, really, we want to really send our prayers and wishes out to these people, because I don't know how much the Watchtower is even going to pay much attention to this event. Well, they're going to make a big deal of it. They'll put it on jw.org, right on the front page. Persecution. Armageddon's around the corner. They're gonna make it a headline so they can get more people in. But I'm going to tell you what, this could be, with all of these news stories that have been coming out about the Watchtower as of late and all this mayhem, I think it's got a lot of people thinking I don't think every one of them is saying this is persecution. I think many of them are going, what is going on with our precious Watchtower? What? I mean, really, they always would, be so loyal and so committed. But my goodness gracious, it's like perhaps having your best friend. And then after a while, the friend becomes psycho. He's not the same person anymore. That's the same thing that's going on in the Watchtower. It's not the same organization. And I'm sure there's many. I'm sure husbands and wives, they're talking on the way home from the meeting. Gee, honey, what's happening here? Have you been hearing this? And why all these empty seats? They're not saying where all the people went. And all of these stories we're hearing on the news, can we believe it? Is it really Satan's media? Is it agents of Satan that's dishing this out? Or is this real stuff? Well, if you're a Jehovah's Witness listening in tonight, check it all out. Everything we ever say, go online, check it out. But I want to thank you all for coming in. Annie, are you out there from Montreal? Is Annie out there? Hit *6 if you are. Well, she'll be on Saturday night.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick, this is Jesse at Yuma. How are you doing?
I'm good, Jesse, yes.
Sad news. Boy, it's terrible news. Hey, Rick, different meetings I go to, like if I go to a different political meeting or something in Arizona, everybody, you feel real safe because everybody's packing heat. Even in churches, you'll have people, because it's, you have the right to carry arms. But how does this happen in places where people aren't armed? They can't defend themselves. It's a real scary situation because the world is so ugly, and all these people, they don't have no weapons to defend themselves. How did this guy have a gun? The criminals have guns, but the law-abiding citizens don't have guns. So a lot of witnesses don't have a means to defend themselves.
Absolutely not, Jesse. I mean, because in Germany, it's very, very difficult to get a gun. It's very difficult. You think it's hard in some of these states. Boy, I'll tell you, getting one over there is difficult. But you can be rested assured that there was no armed Jehovah's Witness. So they were just like sitting ducks. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, just a tragedy, just sitting ducks. Nobody could defend nobody. You can't even defend your mom. You can't defend your children. But if somebody could be carrying a gun, they could have stopped the intruder.
Yeah.
But I know that's not going to happen. But I'm just saying, in other places, people, when they have guns, a perpetrator has to think twice because grandma could be packing heat. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good comment, Jesse. Good comment. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
Talk to you later.
All right. So just to reiterate here for folks just coming in, I'll put some pictures up here. But in Germany, Hamburg, Germany, 4 hours ago, a Kingdom Hall, an intruder went into a Kingdom Hall, shot and killed 7 people in the Kingdom Hall. I'm assuming they were Jehovah's Witnesses. The intruder or the shooter, let's go with that, he was found on a staircase dead. So whether it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or some other way he might have shot himself by mistake, nobody knows. So we don't have the whole story, but here's some pictures at the scene. There's a bunch of cruisers outside the Kingdom Hall. This here is a picture of the Kingdom Hall. And there it is, 3 stories. I don't know about the whole building, maybe just one story. I'm not sure. It doesn't say. But anyways, it was a tragic event tonight. And I'm glad that we could talk a little bit about it and get it off our chest. And we're going to be doing this again Saturday night. We'll continue with this story as well as other stories that are going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. So we want to invite you on. Yes, Dick.
Yeah, I think I know how the Watchtower is going to handle this situation.
Yeah,
they're going to contact the families and say, we know you have life insurance on your loved one that died, and we need the money. That's what they're going to do. I think Jeffrey Jackson is trading in his Bentley for Rolls Royce, and they need the money.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, Dick, you know something? I never thought of that. But, if there's any money to be had, even in a time of tragedy, they'll have their hands out. They'll have their hands out. That's all I can tell you. Well, thank you, Dick. And I want to thank everyone that called into the program tonight. Now, listen, come join us Saturday night. Once again, we're on the same YouTube channel. We start at 5:45. and spread the word and let people know that we do this. And we're trying to reach out and connect with people that have been touched by the tentacles of the Watchtower. So we'll see you Saturday night. Good night, and thank you very much for coming in. Good night now.